the floor, lonely spider, longing for love once more.
That was fast.
Hello.
I thought I put more of a black. Are we on? Yes,
Yes,
we are.
we're on.
Okay, good. I thought I'd put a more of an ending on that.
That's
but,
okay.
Hey, that was really cool. What was that?
That was at the Garden of Memory Summer Solstice event that
Right.
we used to go to every
Right.
year.
Yeah.
Um,
That was from, I believe that was from 5 years ago. We used to go to this event every year on the solstice. Well, tomorrow is the solstice. Tonight we're celebrating it. Today is actually Juneteenth.
That's right.
That's right. But we used to go to this event, and it was in Oakland, California, and it was at a columbarium. If you don't know what that is, that's basically where they inter ashes in things, containers. We're going to show you some clips from that right up next. But I wanted to just kind of introduce the show. Welcome to Bookmark. Yeah, that's right.
Hey guys.
I was going to put our little bookmark thing down on them, and I forgot to do that. Anyway, this is our special 2-hour solstice event, and we've got drinks.
Yeah, we have some
cheers.
drinks and some really
Snacks.
exciting information to share regarding future guests that we're going to be hosting on our Pull Quote series, which is our series where we bring on guests, that you love, and we just have a casual conversation about what's going on in the world.
Yeah, we're also going to do some rune readings.
Oh, right. We're going to do a rune reading today
Julie's
as well.
Julie's going to play the tongue drum, and we're also going to just shoot the breeze on some things that have been sort of coming up. So first, let's. We're also going to have a tour of our garden.
Oh, right. Okay? The tour of the garden, too. Yeah, there's a lot going on today.
There's a lot going on, and I forgot where we were going to fit the garden in, but that's okay. We can fit it in.
Yeah, we can throw it in there somewhere.
Yeah,
maybe right after the rune reading. That would probably be good.
That'd be cool. Okay, so so let's go check out.
So this is something, just so you know, this is something again that we would do every year when we were living in San Francisco. We would go to the columbarium.
Yeah, it was called Chapel of the Chimes.
Chapel of the Chimes.
It was in Oakland, and it was a columbarium.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very large complex of buildings, and there were some that were really old. And I can't remember the architect's name. She also designed San Simeon.
Right, well, that
Hearst
would
Castle.
be
Julia Morgan?
Yeah.
Julia Morgan.
I guess,
So Julia Morgan was a Beaux-Arts architect. She designed a lot of the campus at UC Berkeley. She designed Hearst Castle, and she also designed a number of any buildings in San Francisco and the Bay Area. But she designed a lot of the main original building in this columbarium, and you'll see some of the architecture, the interior architecture, in these videos. I included some of that, and So let's roll that.
So again, this is something that we would do every year this time of year.
Right.
So this, this is this was a tradition in our relationship and in our lives, and we really miss it. So we thought we would share it with the audience. So this is how we would bring in the summer solstice.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you brought in that context, because I do miss it.
Yeah, and we really miss it.
And they didn't do it last year and you'll see why, because it's very
close quarters.
Crowded, yeah, very close quarters. So I don't know if they're doing it this year, but they have nothing on their website. So who knows? So let's roll this. Oh, these are clips from 2 different years.
Yeah, just from various years that we've been there.
And they're different, and we'll read off the performers after. So let's go.
Right. we go.
Oh, okay, there we are. And we heard Julie saying, "Show on screen, show on screen."
And we're back. So
we're
that
back.
was Chapel of the Chimes at the Summer Solstice event. That was various, various recordings that we took for the various times that we've been there. And to answer somebody's question, it's actually in Berkeley, California.
No, Oakland.
Or Oakland, California. It's
Mhm.
across the bay
Mhm.
from San Francisco. But it's it's a really lovely thing. It's a really wonderful way to spend the longest day of the year.
Yeah.
They don't really have anything like remotely like that in Pittsburgh where we live now.
Yeah.
And something tells me that this really wonderful spiritual experience where you see art and creativity and crowds of people coming together to share this experience. Something tells me that since COVID, they're not really allowing this anymore. So, they may, let it come back in the future, but probably a very limited engagement, very limited amount of people. By the way, if you're having trouble seeing or hearing us, please make a comment and let me know.
Michelle du Rivage reminds me a bit of Solstice celebration at St. John the Divine in Manhattan. I'm sure it's a similar looking church. I'm sure.
So there's the area that the Chapel of the Chimes, Sherry, is located is it's in a very nice area. It's
it's sort of near
kind
Piedmont.
Kind of a little boutique neighborhood. It's beautiful fruit tree lined streets. This is also, is it part of the Jewish cemetery?
There's a Jewish. Okay, so there's other cemetery. There's like a cemetery, and then there's a Jewish cemetery. They're separate from the columbarium. The columbarium actually has a Jewish section as well and a Chinese section.
Right. It's really lovely. Like I've gone on dates where we've had picnics there. It's a beautiful view of, the entire Bay Area.
Right. Yeah, because it's up against.
It's really lovely.
Yeah, it's up against the hills, and the cemeteries are in the hillsides.
So if you live in that area, I would definitely, trek up there just to have the experience of being able to, walk around. This is where like Hearst or Hearst, I believe, is Hearst buried there? No, Haight is buried there.
Oh, right.
As in, the famous Haight Street. Right. Ghirardelli, as in Ghirardelli chocolate, is buried there, I believe, and
not in the columbarium, but in that cemetery.
In that cemetery, where you can walk by and hang out by their gravestones if you want.
sort of near Grand Lake Theater, but yeah,
no, not really.
It's a little up the hill.
It's
from there,
way up the hill.
Yeah,
you would need a car to get up
there.
Yeah,
you would. But
I mean, although I've done it by bus,
But I think, Julie, that the main street that leads you to the columbarium passes by Grand Lake.
Oh, right.
If not, it passes by Fenton's.
Sure, of course. Yeah, you have to pass Grand Lake to get up there, but it's further up from there.
Yeah.
By the way, Sherry, I used to live on the other side of Lake Merritt, and so where my apartment was, like across the lake, like if I could walk on water, like I would cross the lake, and Grand Lake Theater was like right in front of me. I had this really wonderful apartment for quite a few years, and I really loved it. It was one of my favorite apartments.
Yeah, it sounds lovely. I never saw it, but it sounds like it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah. Well, before we move on, I wanted to just kind of reiterate or recap here. So the videos that we saw, we opened with that kind of propeller thing, the bicycle wheel. That was just a little thing that somebody rigged up. And they often had little things like that out in front. In fact, the music that we opened with the trio there, that was in the same location but a different year. And so that people will make instruments and play them. A lot of these people are from academia, so they're academic, like music professors. So
big time academic, people in bands.
Right. There was a lot of avant-garde music in the Bay Area that and that's what this mainly was. It was like avant-garde music, spiritual and like folk traditions. So things like that. It was really, really fun and very interesting.
Yeah,
so
really fun.
The vocal group that you heard that was in that chapel, that is actually called the Chapel of the Chimes, and they're called Kitka, and I think they're at kitka.com. So they're Balkan vocals. The next artist that you saw, she was playing this kind of inverted steel drum. Her name is Laura Insera. So that's Laura, and then Insera, Inserra. and she plays this. That instrument is called a hong. It's very similar to what Julie's going to be playing in a little while, but except that it's bigger and a hell of a lot more expensive. So hongs are beautiful, and that's mostly what she's known for. And so she always has that room every year, and she plays the hong and as well as other percussion instruments. She's a wonderful artist, one of my favorites. Then we saw that wind bike wheel energy thing, I guess. I guess that was after Laura and Sarah. Okay. Then we saw a group of people. They were messing around with what's known as a theremin, and that was the first electronic instrument ever developed. And one of our guests coming up in the future, coming up soon, is actually plays the theremin as well as the violin. So we might get her to play that.
That would be nice.
That would be cool.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. And then the two guys playing that long instrument, that was like an updated version of a hurdy-gurdy. Okay, it had an electric wheel spinning, whereas a hurdy-gurdy you normally crank the wheel. And his name is Paul Drescher, the main guy, the guy that was like I don't know. And then the other guy was named Joel Davel. And Paul Drescher is a very famous composer, avant-garde composer in the Bay Area, and he would do a lot of collaborations with like dance troops as well as like performance and things like that. And then finally, the piano player at the end, the pianist, and her name is Sarah Cahill, and she is known for doing avant-garde, modern classical music in the Bay Area, and she's one of the organizers of this event, as well as she hosts a radio show on KLW that we catch now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every once in a while.
Yeah, every once in a while. So anyway, so that was the lineup of the folks that we just saw. It was, again, we missed that. But,
we really miss it.
But moving along, the reason that we are here, I mean, aside from doing a bookmark and it being, celebrating the solstice, we are pitching to you, and this is our Summer Solstice fundraiser. We are looking to bring in. Our goal today is $1,000 in donations, or up to 25 new patrons on our Patreon account. So at the $2 to $5 level, that's not a lot of money. It's easy to accomplish. What we're looking for are 25 new patrons for our Patreon account. $2 to $5, and if you want to, I mean, you can also go over to Rockfin. We have we're live streaming right now on Rockfin. You can join Rockfin as well, and that's only $9.99 a month, and you get to see premium content for everybody on Rockfin. You can also give us a tip on Rockfin. There's a tip jar there, and if you want to look at that, give us a tip. So 25 new patrons by the end of the evening.
Yeah, that would really help us make our goal. We're not quite at our Patreon goal. So if you want to become a patron at $2 a month, that would help us get to our goal.
All right.
So,
cool. Well,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And now on with the show. Julie was going to play some. Did you want to look at the garden first, or do you want to play some?
I think you should. What you're going to do is pull runes. So we're going to pull runes. We're going to do a rune reading for the world. We did this before last year sometime, and it was really well received. And we thought, well, since summer solstice is tomorrow, that we would do the same thing today. And basically what we do is we just pull the stones and we interpret what they mean. We're not mystics or anything like that. It's something that we do for ourselves.
I'm sorry.
Echo. So JP's going to pull the runes because I feel like we need some good, strong male energy up here. And I'm going to let him pull the runes while I noodle around on the tongue drum.
Okay, cool.
Okay?
All right.
It's hot today, so that's why I'm like fanning myself a little.
I can't seem to get this to mute for some reason.
Just turn it down.
Yeah, I did, but it doesn't want to go all the way. So, okay, well, go ahead.
Okay.
That's fine.
I really don't know how to play at all. I just
noodle around,
and I like the sound.
And this is called a tongue drum. It's similar in shape, but a lot smaller than the hong that we saw earlier.
Yeah, the hong is like inverted, so it goes in, and then this is what, like a what?
They're like cut out tongues. Yeah, you can kind of see them in the light
In the
there.
design.
Yeah. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull 3 stones out of this bag, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to let's set our intentions. No, let's. What I'm going to do is think about like what's going on in the world right now, and we're going to pull a set of glyphs that we can then interpret for the solstice, for you and the entire world, and for us. So this is
the whole world,
whole entire world. This is a this is an oracle system similar to the I Ching. So. Okay, so what I've done is I've pulled 3 glyphs. Let's see. You get here. You can see our snacks.
Oh no, that's not what I wanted people to see.
So there's the mouse, and what you can see are the glyphs, that the stones that I pulled. Let's see if I can do this. This works.
That's sideways. I think that way is fine.
Yeah.
Just pull your camera up a little.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
So what we
Don't
do
mind
is
our
we
peanuts.
read them right to left, and so we got.
And then give me the book when you get a chance, and we can hold the camera there, and I will look them up.
All right.
So this is right to left.
And let me tell you the positions here. So this rune here, this is where we are now. Okay. This one is the problem, or what we like to call the what is it you often call it? The
challenge.
The challenge position.
The challenge position.
And this is the goal.
Right.
Okay. So these, are fairly common in some of the pulls that we've brought up, but I haven't pulled these in a while. So let's see, for myself anyway.
So the first, which is where we are now, the first one, if you want to focus on it, that first one is called Harvest, which makes sense because right now I think, spring is here. We're actually at, the summer solstice. So, there's harvesting going on. I mean, this is a pretty obvious, I think people are going back to, oops, sorry about that. People are going back to work. People are, getting back into their lives and investing back in themselves, which is, a good indication of a harvesting of yourself, your life, your connections. I think that with the fallout of relationships that we've seen from people who have lost connections for whatever reason over the last year, that new connections are being cultivated and harvested. And that's a big indication of that. Let's see, this is number 13. I have a hard time seeing. This is a really old book that we read from. So harvest, it also means year, harvest, a fruitful year. This is really, I think it's pretty obvious. Like, I don't know if I really need to read from the book. Maybe I'll read a little bit.
Maybe, glance at it. And I'm going to stop this for a second and bring us back up here.
This is a rune of beneficial outcomes. It applies to any activity or endeavor to which you are committed. Receiving this rune encourages you to keep your spirits up. Be aware, however, that no quick results can be expected. There's always a span of time is involved, hence the key words 1 year, symbolizing a full cycle of time before the reaping, the harvest, or deliverance. You have prepared the ground and planted the seed, and now you must cultivate with care. So I think that's where everybody is right now. I know it's where we are. We have a garden. We've, cultivated and curated our message here on this platform. We've developed new friendships and new connections with people all over the country, especially. We, go a little bit beyond most of the, I guess you could call us content creators, and that we actually have developed real, honest friendships, where we want to go out of our way or have gone out of our way for people. And I think that that's part of that harvesting.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people, like you said, are experiencing this in that they're almost forced to, right? We're hearing from a lot of people whose relationships have ended with their families or friends. There's a lot of weird energy on Facebook, and so people are having to turn to other things to make themselves allow themselves to interact, I guess I should say, better in different ways, and conduct themselves in a more healthy manner, and just overall, we're all kind of like restarting and rethinking after over a year of this bullshit. You kind of have to start thinking in different ways, and it doesn't help that we're seeing sort of a almost a restart of the culture, the economy. The states seem to be opening up. We can talk about that later, but they're really not. So it's kind of messing with people.
Well, actually, that takes us to the challenge position.
All right.
If you want to focus on it.
Let me bring that up, and
because this is really interesting. Okay.
Okay.
So the challenge position is the middle position. There it is. And if you want to, I don't know if you can make us smaller so that we have a better background. Oop. Oh, okay. I was just thinking we could be on both sides, but there we go. Okay. So this is the challenge position, meaning that it's in the middle of the spread, and it is called fertility. So, you're harvesting, which is where we are now. And then the challenges that come with harvesting is all of the fertile bounty that comes from the harvesting. Oftentimes when we think of fertility, we think of like pregnancy, birth, babies, we think of, fertile, excuse me, fertile women. I know that's where my mind goes. So in the book, it's described as the Ing, the legendary hero, or later, a god, which is really interesting. So it's interesting that this is in the challenge position, meaning that what's going to happen is that in the future, I believe what it's trying to tell us, or that what we can kind of see, is that as a result of all of these harvesting of friendships and relationships and new ideas, new content creators, new blog posts that are written, new journalists, new writers, new, lots of harvesting, is that what will come from that is something very fertile, a birth of a new thought, a new mind, a new opportunities, a new way of living. Who knows? Maybe people over the last year have been having lots of sex, and suddenly we're going to see lots of babies being born. That could mean fertility as well, which is the complete opposite. Can you make this a little smaller? Here, like this in the middle. There we go. Like,
that's the way it's.
Oh, I see. There we go. Okay. So the fertile position, the fact that it's in the challenge position is what's really really unique to me, because we were hearing a lot of stories about women especially who are having adverse reactions to like a COVID shot, and we're hearing story after story of like possible fertility issues in the future. Now the fact that fertility is in the challenge position and it comes right after the harvest tells me, there's two sides to that. First of all, you'll notice that fertility, it doesn't have a reverse. It's both ways. It doesn't matter which way you pull it. There's no reverse to it.
And a lot of times the meanings will change according to whether they're upright or in a reverse
Right.
or
So
upside down position.
right, and there's no reverse position
That is not it.
for fertility. So fertility is what is it, number 6. So fertility to me says that there will be a challenge having to do with fertility, maybe an overabundance of something, maybe an underabundance
Yeah.
of something.
Well, certainly, as you mentioned before, I mean, we're getting lots of reports about the shots creating a situation, with infertility or possible infertility, and certainly, the shots that the Gates Foundation have sponsored in the past have certainly wreaked havoc in other countries.
So, I hate to talk out of both sides of my mouth, but right now it says the current, when you pull the rune spread here, the current position is harvest. So we're harvesting again, harvesting friendships, new friendships, harvesting new ideas. Some of us are actually harvesting our gardens. Some of us run our own garden businesses, and there's a big bounty and a big need for harvesting right now. I talked to a friend yesterday who runs her own gardening business, and she's in high demand. She said she doesn't have enough time in the day to take care of all of the needs of her clients, which I thought was really interesting. So we're in a time of harvest, and the challenge position then is fertility, which tells me harvest brings forth the fruit, it brings forth the flowers, the vegetable, the growth, the connections, the people, the life.
And I think this also is kind of weird because usually you have fertility and then harvest.
Exactly.
Right? And so they're reversed, even though they work together. In this case, they're in a reverse position. So usually you have the fertility, which tells me that, we have been noticing, obviously, all of us, that we are living in a world out of balance.
Totally out of balance. Yeah, it is definitely a world out of balance. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that coming probably sometime in the fall, which is only a few months away because we're already halfway into the year, we might be facing some challenges in the fertility world, whether it is an abundance of something or a lacking of something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say either way because usually, the yin yang, usually if there's too much of something, then something else gets, pulled away.
Mm-hmm.
So we in this world out of balance, we have to be balanced. We do.
Mm-hmm.
So that even if the world goes this way, we're still upright, and we also have to be able to move with the challenges that come. Let me just really, well, it says it right here in the first couple of words. This rune is akin to the moon, to the yin, like I just said, the intuitive energy, with its urge toward harmonizing and adjusting in the sphere of personal relationships. It embodies the need to share, the yearning to be desired, a search after similarities. I'm going to leave it at that. There's more that the book says, but I think that right there is key. One thing that really stood out to me when I was reading this first paragraph was that you have to have that intuitive energy.
Mm-hmm.
So intuition comes from experience. It's experiential knowledge. It's difficult for people who have 14 degrees behind their name and are very good at memorizing things and then repeating what they've memorized. It's very difficult for them to be intuitive or have intuition. Intuition only comes from experience, and usually experience means that you've been knocked around a little bit. You've been kicked in the teeth once or twice in your life. You've been treated, badly, or you've suffered in some way. So this challenge position right here, this fertility position, which is in the middle of the spread, it represents intuitive energy, which is intuition, which is experiential knowledge. So that if you've experienced something once or twice in your life and that experience presents itself again, that your intuition will kick in and say, I've already had this experience and I know what the outcome will be, and I know to either avoid it or go towards it, whatever benefits you the best. So I think that's kind of where we are. And I hate to seem kind of, mamby-pamby about it. Like, it could be an abundance or it could be a lack of abundance. But I feel that that's kind of the way that's that challenge that's coming up, and I kind of feel like it's going to come around in the fall. I hope I'm wrong, because the fall is literally just a few months away.
Right. And well, and we've been hearing a lot of people saying, the autumn, the fall, September.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a big psyop too, but
yeah, and we'll get into this a bit, but a lot of the states are choosing to drop certain things at the end of September, which is the beginning of the government fiscal year, but they're not going to do that.
Right.
So, yeah.
So and I know I'm doing a lot of the interpreting, and I'm sorry that I'm kind of taking the lead on this, but I think that we have a good balance here where he pulled the rune and I'm kind of interpreting it. Like I said, I think we really needed some good, strong, intelligent male energy to pull it, and I'll go ahead and interpret it. So the last one,
and our reader is a little trying to catch up here. So okay, there we are.
Okay, so the last one is initiation. So this is the goal. So again, the position that we're in right now is harvest. The challenge position was fertility, and then the goal is initiation. But in that position, in that goal position of initiation, it is reversed. So that is a really interesting.
And I'm trying to get the correct position.
Yeah, it's just
here.
the way the camera.
I think it's the way the camera is. Yeah,
it's in the reverse.
There we go. Okay, there we are.
Yeah, so that is a reverse position that JP pulled, which is great because what it tells me is that there is an unwillingness to be initiated into the COVID cult and into any cult, whether it's the fact that we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, or we're at the 40th anniversary of the so-called discovery of AIDS. We are in all of these cult-like belief systems are going to be hitting us really hard, like the resurgence of this. And of course, we're going to get the triple threat with the COVID cult. And I think that the goal is exactly what it says. You are not going to be initiated into these cults. And I don't think that there's a lot of, secret meaning behind this or I don't need to go too deep in this. I truly believe that, when you're dealing with cult-like behavior, which we're dealing with right now in society, and I don't think that this would be any surprise to anybody listening, at least not on our platform. This is cult-like behavior, and this last rune pull, which is the opposite of initiation, is good for us. Now, the rune book that we refer to, it's this book that we've had for ages.
This is called the Rune Book, I think, and it's by Ralph Blum.
Yeah, it's the Book,
of Runes. Yeah, and I've had it probably over 30 years.
So in this reversed position for the reversal of initiation, there's always a cautionary tale. You don't want to get too excited and be like, great, the whole world's going to wake up and no one's going to be initiated into the cult. That's not necessarily true. Remember, this is the goal for you, for me, for the world, or this, this rune reading is. This doesn't necessarily mean that suddenly, everybody in your life, that's in the cult is suddenly going to wake up one day and not be initiated anymore. That, they may never come out of it. So let me read what it says. A counsel against expecting too much, or expecting in the ordinary way, for the old way has come to an end. You simply cannot repeat the old and not suffer. Reversed, this rune puts you on notice to call in your scattered energies and concentrate on your own life at this moment and your own requirements for growth. So this has been a recurring theme of my, of us and of myself. And, I speak for JP as well.
Yeah.
That from the very beginning, we have said the best way to be, in general, in the world in general, but especially now in the age of COVID, is to be self-actualized, is to take care of yourself, not worry about the community. It's not your barista's job to ask you if you've been vaccinated or if you can please wear a mask. They're not your doctor, and even your doctor doesn't have the right to do that. So the recurring theme through this entire year has been this absolute end, end position of this rune, which is the reversal of initiation. And the reversal of being initiated into a cult or into a community is to be self-sufficient, to worry about yourself and your own, your own means. Like, figure out how you can bring in an income, figure out how your children are going to go to school. Don't worry about what the community expects of you. The community is going to do what the community does.
Right.
But if each and every person took the time to look a little more inward, then we would all be more self-actualized and complete people, and we could come together in these challenging times as complete people. And it sounds like, oh, you're being selfish. Well, it sounds like that, but it's not really. It's not. Believe it or not, miraculously, if everybody in the whole world thought a little bit more about their own happiness and their self, then we would have a whole world of pretty happy, strong people, that could relate to each other. But instead, what's happening is there's just been this cudgeling of self-will, where you have to reinterpret what it means to be a human being. And we don't want to be initiated into that. And so this last rune pull, which was the reverse of initiation, is actually really good. To me, this was a really positive rune pull. The last rune pull I did, for me personally, everything was negative. Everything was upside down. I got really mad, and I started yelling and I pounded my fist on the table. But
she did. Yeah. We were yelling at each other.
But sometimes you have to go through these things. And I find it interesting that, I intended to just be really open to all the connections that I've made over the last year, and all the people that have supported us. Just be really, truly open to them, and pull and interpret the rune reading for them, and take myself out of it. And look how positive it was. Harvest, fertility, and the reversal of initiation. No cults. Nobody's going to be initiated into a cult. I think that's really amazing. So I'm really excited about that. And I think, I think if there's inner squabblings with people, that, things are going to turn around. It's okay. Nobody's perfect. There will be inner squabblings, and people might be upset or hurt by other people's actions about what's going on in this age of COVID, but it'll all right itself. And I think that that's what this last one is all about. This the reversal of initiation. Okay, I think that's really all I have to say.
All right, cool. I'm going to hide that then and put this back here, and I'm going to exit.
It's so hot.
It's very hot.
It's like this weird humidity is what it is. It's like,
so that was interesting. That was a sort of a last minute idea to use the phone to show us the runes.
I think it worked.
It worked out pretty well. I have some ideas of how to get rid of the echo, but that's for another show. I wanted to.
What's next, JP?
I was going to say something, and it was about the runes, but I honestly can't remember what it was. But I know what it was. Somebody, let's see, Live Alive asked something about why they chose the columbarium of all places.
For the Summer Solstice event that we used to go to.
Yeah, and I think it's just simply because it's so beautiful, and it was a big space that had lots of little cloisters, because the layout of it was very labyrinthine, or whatever you'd call it. It's like a labyrinthine, and like lots of little corridors and lots of little little coves or little rooms, and you could have musicians set up in one of these tiny little rooms or some of the bigger rooms. And Henry Kaiser used to set up, with a guitar and an amplifier in one of those.
Another one that's buried over there in the cemetery.
Yeah, well, not Henry J. Kaiser, but
Kaiser.
his son, I guess, the musician. So anyway, so there was lots of Rover saxophone quartet would show up. Lots of different music would be there. So yeah, just to answer your question.
And the acoustics and all that.
That's the other thing
that was
too.
a big part of it.
It was super crowded though.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hot and it was crowded.
Yeah.
But that kind of made it fun
too.
Yeah,
bumping into people and everything, like all the things that we miss now, because apparently it's against the law to get close to around people. So
what we're going to do is, now that we've talked about runes, now the runes come from the Nordic people. They call them the Viking runes, right? And we just saw a movie. We just watched a movie last night.
Wait, are you going to show the garden first?
No, let's talk about the movie and then I'll do the garden. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
And it's called Midsummer, so it takes place on the summer solstice, and it's supposedly in Sweden, and it's this tiny little village.
It's fiction.
It's all
totally
fiction, and it's in the horror genre, but it's really it's one of this director's, I feel like, one of his better movies. I think his best actually. But let's see. Let me see if I can bring this up here.
Okay. So we should set the scene.
Yeah, let's set the scene. Okay.
So you want me to set it? Or?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So what you're going to see is a scene of a bunch of women crying with the protagonist of the film. And she has just seen something that was really upsetting to her in this little cultish community that she has found herself in by accident. It's really upsetting to her, and so all the women are, trying to. It seems like what they're doing is sharing her pain. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch this for just a couple of seconds, a couple minutes, if you can stand it. It's very emotional.
Very emotional.
And then we'll break it down.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Let's do that. And I guess I have to play here. Okay, there we are.
There we are. Okay. So when you see that scene, you think to yourself, oh, these women are picking up her pain.
Right.
They're sharing her pain. And aren't they nice
people
for doing that?
Yeah.
I guess, and the fact is that she, prior to this, she had been, baking with them in the kitchen.
Well, and that scene, just the scene that was prior to this, they would just been dancing around what was like a maypole,
right,
for
was that
hours.
Before? Was that the scene?
Yeah. So it was she basically won the competition, right? She was the May Queen.
Oh, right. Okay.
So, but overall, I mean, the movie, we were talking about it yesterday, and we said we were in this morning too, because lots and lots of things occurred. There's a this community is very cultish in that they have this ceremony every year in midsummer, and it's almost as if the ceremony or the ceremonial, the traditions and the rituals outweigh and override any sort of thought or care or anything about the community. It's all about meeting the goals of the ritual. Now, part of the ritual, it's like a 9-day festival or something, And
it's not really.
No, but I mean that's no, it's fake. It's not real. But
I mean,
in the
even
movie,
in the movie, it's not real. The guy fakes them out. Anyway, so the point of the scene,
what I was going to say was, leading up to that scene. So there were things like, two old people stepped off a cliff and killed themselves because they only believe to have, they only want their old people to live until 72. There were some other rituals that went on, like the dancing scene that I was talking about. What had happened prior to what we just saw was this girl saw her boyfriend.
She saw a very terrible thing.
Okay, we
don't
won't
have to
go
give
into
the
that.
movie away
Okay,
too
well,
much.
I'm not, but
yeah. So what she had just witnessed was something really traumatizing, and so she was having a panic attack. Now, to the viewer, these women coming up to her and sharing her pain looked like something good, like the community was, gathering around her and touching her and on the floor with her and panicking with her, like absorbing her pain. And you think, okay, that's good. That they're trying to take her pain on themselves to ease the panic off of her, because what she did see was very troubling. But you had a different interpretation of it. Do you remember what it was in context to kind of like what we're going through now?
Right, exactly. So I felt like they were, and I hope I remember what I said. If I don't say it, please remind me.
Yeah, I'll try to get it right.
Is that they were pulling the energy from her. They were trying it. Maybe you should tell me, because I can't remember exactly what I said.
So what it feels like is that she's having this authentic experience.
Mm-hmm.
She's having an authentic reaction to something that is bad. We have been having authentic reactions to the negative shit that's been going on in the age of COVID over the last year. Whatever your reaction is to this tyranny and this duplicity and all of these lies, whatever your reaction is, it's the correct one, because it's yours and yours alone. What I think the movie in this particular scene was trying to tell us is that the community will feed off of your very authentic reactions.
Mm-hmm.
And by feeding off of it doesn't really, and they'll manipulate it to their advantage. In community and cult-like behavior and in communitarianism and all this stuff, there's not a lot of room for authentic emotion.
Right.
It's all what's good for the community. And in our case right now, the community is actually the definition for the corporations that have occupied our government. Mm-hmm. So we're currently living in a government of occupation. When your government is occupied by the enemy, and you feel that your life is at risk, and you feel like you're panicking and you're watching the whole world muzzle themselves and stick their arm out for an experimental medical intervention, of course your reaction is going to be one of panic and anxiety. And what the corporations and the companies do is they respond back to you with that same kind of panic by saying things like, if you don't get it, more people will die. We've had a rise in cases. There's going to be more lockdowns. And so they match your panic with a panic that will work for them, mm-hmm. that will benefit them.
Right.
And that to me, that's what the scene represented. JP said something really profound, and it got me to that place, mm-hmm. because originally I thought, oh, well, that's so nice. The community is there, like, absorbing her pain. And so, we can all absorb each other's pain and be there for each other. No, that's not what it was really about. What it was really about was exploiting your authentic response and your authentic emotion to this terrible thing that you've just witnessed. To me, the protagonist in Midsummer represents like the American consciousness. Like, she's not just a single girl who happens to find herself accidentally in a cult. What she is the American consciousness. And I can only speak for the country I live in. I dare not make assumptions about what other people are going through. Their experiences are different than the experience we're having here. Mm-hmm. But her experience is that she's in this foreign place, which she doesn't recognize. She's seeing a lot of empty rituals. She's seeing things that are horrifying to her. And so she's having an appropriate response to this foreign place And aren't we all? Aren't we all seeing things that are just horrifying to us, and we're having all the appropriate responses? We are now living in occupied territory, our own country and our own communities and our own, municipalities and cities and areas where we live have become unrecognizable to us. So she represents that, that sort of lost, person in the world, like we all are, or we have been. I think a lot of us are starting to find our footing and kind of, help define how we're supposed to live in this situation we're in. So that's why I wanted to show the scene, because I wanted to tell people, whatever your reaction is to this bullshit, it's an appropriate one. It's the appropriate reaction. Unfortunately, the powers that be, or the occupied, state, is going to also have a reaction, will feed off of you, reinterpret it, and represent it back to you as, something that benefits them. And that's kind of what I got out of it.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And there was a lot more. And then, this movie came out in
2019.
So around this time, 2 years ago. And, it's easy to go, oh, predictive programming. And there was probably some of that there. The story goes that he was coming off of a big breakup.
Right. So it's really just about a guy who's processing his really bad breakup. That's what it's really about. But of course, there's so much more to it than just that. So,
and I think that, there could be something to the, predictive programming thing, but I think the thing is, though, I think a lot of times with this stuff, when people say, oh, it's predictive programming, that, what the writers and the directors are doing in these texts and these works, are reflecting what's going on in society, current to what they're experiencing, or even prior to what they're experiencing. And I think we can all agree that what is going on now, we now can look back and see the lead up to what has taken place. We now have the distance on this thing to be able to look back and say, wow, I saw this coming. I just didn't know what it was. I didn't recognize it for what it was. And I think that the role of art and artists and writers and the creative people is to reflect that. And sometimes it comes out in ways that none of us expect it to. And sometimes it's deliberate. And I think in this case, it was one of those things where he was really focusing in on American culture, at least, society at large, and the psychological dynamics that humans have been going through for, generations, if not millennia.
Yeah.
But you know what? I want to shift focus and go back to some videos here. Let's see. And now it's time to talk about gardens. Now, to celebrate the solstice, we're going to give you a little garden tour of what's going on. You guys have been hearing about our garden, so not that special, but it's something. So let's have a look. Okay, so we're going to start over here. So in the barrels, okay, so we got barrels on the concrete here, and I've got, so these are radishes, okay, but these are radishes, but down in here are cucumbers growing. See, I've got this guy here. Now the reason that I've got the radishes in here is to keep the squash bugs away, and the squash vine borer beetle, or whatever they're called. We've got some companion planting going on here. We've got some carrots and some peas. Hey. Okay, so we got carrots, and look at this, we've got peas. We've got peas coming in. These are tomatoes that were also volunteers that came up in that same bed. Look at that. I mean, these are early starters. So this bed over here, so this is the big bed from last year. We had tomatoes growing everywhere in here, and if you see, some of these things look a little leggy. It's because the tomatoes were, blocking the sun, so they had to they had to grow around it. So I trimmed things back. Here we've got, okay, so here we have herbs. This is these are lettuces and greens. So we've got chard and arugula and lettuces, all kinds, and then there's carrots growing in among these things.
This, these are chives here. And look at how crazy that is. That's amazing. Some more basil. And then here we have garlic that's continued to grow all winter. I mean, it stayed in the soil and it was fine. It didn't get killed in the wintertime. We've got some, it looks like some leeks back there maybe, and a big onion. I've got some onion sprouts in the house still that I need to plant. This guy down here, this guy right here, was like an onion that was in the refrigerator that was sprouting. And I chopped off the top to, because we were serving the onion. And I planted it and it's growing. It's pretty cool. Okay, so then over here, that's a sunflower growing up, a volunteer sunflower. Here we have rosemary. Yay, rosemary. Delicious. Smells good. A couple volunteer tomatoes in here. But these are peppers. These bell peppers overwintered in our bathroom in a pot. Not in this barrel, but in a smaller pot. Probably the pot that I used for the rosemary. This is our veggie pod. And as you can see, I've got tons of lettuce coming in, and I've got tons of lettuce in the refrigerator. So I'm gonna have to give it away or something as I trim it. More basil. We like basil here. We want to make pesto. So it's good for that. More arugula, which is awesome. This is spicy arugula. It's really good. Okay, so that's the veggie pod. See, veggie pod. And this contraption is basically, it's got wheels, so you can move it anywhere you want it. It's cool. And it's nice because, it's at waist level, right? So you can just reach in and do what you need to do. So in this grow bag, we have carrots, more carrots. Let's see. We're doing pretty well. Here's our composter. That thing turns. So then after we got a couple of volunteer tomatoes here that I had in pots. So here's the composter. This is the greenhouse. So this is where some things overwintered. Okay, all the herbs, most all the herbs, and the chives over there overwintered in the greenhouse in these big pots, in these big barrels that I had over there. So in here, not much is here right now, but we've got potatoes growing in here. They love the heat in here. So these are out in grow bags. These guys are ready to come out. I need to harvest these. Because you can see a little potato there popping up. These are getting kind of leggy and kind of dying back, so it's time to pull them out. But see, here's some other ones. All right, cool. So then, across the way, we've got some more grow bags and more. These are all new boxes. By the way, I have to clean up my dirt. I have to get it into some other containers. This was delivered in a big dump truck. So there's the grow bags of tomatoes and the barrels, and we've got new beds. So we've got over here peppers, padron peppers, so those are kind of hot. We got over here, we got eggplant. Okay, there's a tomato, volunteer tomato that I had to transplant. It's not happy, but it got transplanted. Over here is more tomatoes, and then here we have beans, and these guys are scarlet runner beans. Yeah. So they're gonna run along the fence. And then over here we've got Roma bush beans on this side, and then wax beans over here. And then over here I still have some space. I might put in some more yellow wax beans. I love those. These are contender bush beans. Okay, and then over here, this mess over here, this is awesome actually. This is zucchini and all kinds of other squashes. I got all kinds of squashes over here. And these are radishes again. So again, the companion planting, the radishes keep the squash bugs away. So that's good. And then I also have other things growing in here. There's some nasturtiums that also keep the bugs away, as do marigolds. But these nasturtiums are seeds from our friend Live Alive. Thank you, Liv. Got some wildflowers growing over here. California poppies, bachelor buttons, sunflowers. And then over here, we've got a grove of sunflowers. It's kind of crazy. I think some of the seeds are left over from last year. Some of them were planted this year. All right. That's pretty much it.
Okay. So
It's getting there.
yeah, it's getting there. So as you saw, and I said the pile of dirt there, that's compost that I had ordered to fill those new boxes that I built. And so something else that I said, and I can't remember what it was. I'm sure there will be some questions about that on the chat. No, we have some chats.
Michelle.
Thank you, thank you. It's nice. The pepper, the bell pepper. I don't know if I mentioned it or showed it, but it overwintered in our bathroom in another pot other than the rosemary. I guess yeah, when I was talking about the rosemary. So
yeah, we tried to keep things alive during
yeah.
the winter.
Well, I read that you can overwinter peppers, and so
Mhm.
I did that. And you saw a mirror there on the other side of the fence. That's the neighbor's workman. And he just was like, "Oh, I put that mirror there so that the birds would like da da da." I'm like, "What does that even mean?" I didn't quite understand that. So that's got to get moved. And as you noticed, there were some lovely trash cans out there. And but that's
That's urban life.
That's urban life. And our garden backs up to an alley. And we don't have any fence up on the back there. People sometimes cut through, but nobody ever takes anything. And that's something that it's funny. People would say, "Aren't you afraid that people are going to take your stuff?" People around here don't know what the hell to do with the stuff that I'm growing. Right. So they don't care. They don't, if it doesn't come out of a package, they're not interested.
Yeah, that's their
But
all of their food comes out of packages.
Right. But so some companion planting going on back there. And I know what I was going to say. You saw in the big bed there some separation, and you saw some like sticks and bricks and some other crap. And basically, I'm going to put down bricks so that I can walk between the beds there. But I haven't done that yet. So yeah.
So I'll go ahead and do another pitch.
Yeah,
we are
please do.
looking for 25 new patrons at about $2 to $5 per month. And if you'd like to make a donation, we have a PayPal page. You can make a one-time donation. We're both. This is what we do. We're both creatives. We're both artists. We're both, earning a living. This is how we support ourselves and pay the bills. And we also have the Rockfin page where you can subscribe to be a member of Rockfin, and then you would have access to other people's premium content as well as ours if you join Rockfin for $9.99.
And there's a lot of great people out there on Rockfin.
Mm-hmm. There are Vanessa Beeley and all those great people are there. And
Jimmy Dore.
Oh, and Jimmy Dore, and we're who's
whatever.
We
don't care.
We don't. We haven't watched him in well over a year, almost 2 years. So we, we're creatives. We're making cartoons. We're taking video essays, which a lot of people look at our video essays and say they're like music videos
or mini documentaries.
Where we kind of compare ourselves to that wonderful film from the 1980s, Koaniskatse. Is that how you pronounce it? Koaniskatse, which means a life out of balance. That's why we're called Book of Hours, because what we want to do is take this life out of balance and make it available for everyone to have an opportunity to learn about something while kind of being entertained. It's having a theater background. Sometimes it's amazing what you remember because it was presented in satire or it was presented in a cartoon format. It's amazing the memories that we've carried, that the human beings have carried throughout their life based on like a cartoon they watched when they were 5 or a music video that they saw when they were 12. So we try to create, make a creative interpretation of what's happening in the world to make it easier to digest and assimilate, because some of these topics are really complicated.
We like to use rich visual imagery and a rich visual vocabulary, as well as we bring in music that suits the scene, in our opinion, anyway. And so we try to tie the music and the imagery together. We write the scripts and do the voiceovers, and the other person that we point to as being an influence is Adam Curtis. We like him very much. how he ties disparate ideas together, all you know, in
Mhm.
his works.
Mhm.
We certainly don't imitate him because we are different artists. We are a different kind of artists. So, but you know, Riggio's Koyaanisqatsi, you know, like one of the trailers that I made about what was that 13 Amended was, you know, somewhere between, you know, Riggio's Koyaanisqatsi and Adam Curtis is this video.
Right.
And so yeah.
Do you want to? Why don't we go ahead and put up the trailer for 13 Amended right now? You can
Okay.
pull it off of YouTube.
All right. So
and we
you
can
go
play
ahead
it.
and you keep talking, and I'll bring it up.
Right. So 13 Amended is a 50-minute film that we had submitted to a film festival, and it's available for our patrons, and it's also available for those who make a donation, or for our Rockfin members as well. And what it is it is a reframing and a hard look at how this current situation that we're in is creating, you know, human capital markets. And we, you know, what we do is we look at history, and then we look at, you know, present day, and we apply a lot of the different services and things that, you know, uh, are being marketed, especially to poor communities, um, as, you know, these wraparound services, which are actually cover for future enslavement. So what we do is we make a good comparison between these wraparound services and then the like the prison industry.
Okay, well,
So,
let's watch that.
Okay.
And if I can just hit play. Oh, I see. Right. Too many tabs, and there we go.
This is the fourth industrial revolution.
The 13th Amendment, the one that says that slavery don't exist in America except in prisons, you know. And of course, we know that we're not slaves. We don't have any desire to be slaves. It's all about humanity. What is being built, a prison is being built in this country, and
But it's still about her work and herself.
Right, right. But there's no, but this is an example of how COVID gives rise to fascism. How a person who may have been able to suppress this part of themselves before, it was kept under wraps, it was kept at bay, it was kept in check, that it was brought out of them. It was nurtured and brought out of them,
Right.
and made them into something actually quite dangerous.
Yeah.
Hear us but not see us. There we go. Sorry,
Okay.
we had the mic off a moment ago, so we
Val didn't.
apologize for that.
Thank you.
So what we're doing is creating a new series called Before and After COVID. So we have a couple of series now. So the first series that we created is the new model, and the new model series has, you know, many of our video essays available on our YouTube channel for viewing without, you know, having to become a patron. We made a lot of our work available to the public. Starting at the beginning of the year, though, we so Live Alive and Juniper, sorry about that. Yes, we had our audio off.
Yeah, didn't realize that.
So now I'm repeating what I said when our audio was off. I'm repeating it now. So we're creating a new series called Before and After COVID. These are personas that we have created. They're fictional people who, you know, and if you become a patron, you can see Shelley. We're working on another one right now. There's actually 4 or 5 personas that are, you know, sort of in the hopper. It takes a while to make these video essays. For instance, we recently completed a 4-minute cartoon. It took us 12 hours to make it. We decided to do clock it. So we sat down at like 11 o'clock in the morning and started working on it. And this is for a 4-minute cartoon. And by 11 o'clock at night, we were pretty much done.
Yeah, so that's like 12 hours.
That was like 12 hours that we did nothing but sit in front of the computer and put the pieces together and put the animation together. So, you know, it takes a while to make these video essays, but we really enjoy it, and it's what we do. So if you could support us, make a donation, become a patron on Patreon, or join Rockfin. You know, you can send us an email, and we'll you know, we even take checks. So you know, we can email you our home address, and you can support, you know, the creatives that way. As far as Rockfin goes, we're the only one of our type on Rockfin.
Yeah.
There's pretty heavy hitters on Rockfin, you know, some great journalists and researchers, some, you know, excellent commentators, you know, there's, you know, lots of sports people on Rockfin.
Yeah, that's what they started out doing.
But we're the only one of our kind where we're actually being creative with the work. So it's been a little bit of a slow start there. I think people aren't sure what to think about us, because we're, you know, we're not writing volumes of you know, stories. We're not journalists. We're not broadcasters. We're not, you know, researchers.
Right.
We're creatives.
And we're artists.
We're artists. You know,
well,
so
and
so it's a little different.
Yeah.
And I think it just takes time for people to kind of warm up to that.
Well, that's part of the reason that we started doing. You know, well, we started Bookmark before that, but that's part of the reason why we started pullquote.
Oh yes.
Pullquote kind of like developed out of that need to kind of attract an audience that's beyond what we do. The people would normally not be attracted to what we do in our essay work. They're looking more for talk shows or interviews and things like that. So Pullquote is now our new interview program. We like to call it a program of compelling conversations.
Compelling conversations.
Yeah. How NPR is that?
I know, right? It sounds
so pretentious,
but it's not. It's
no, but seriously,
really people love it. So. Yeah. I am super excited. We have 2 guests coming up this
We've got a great lineup for the summer, but she's going to read you the list of people. Yeah.
Okay, so this Tuesday, we're going to be hosting playwright John Stepling.
Yeah.
So, JP and I recently listened to a John Stepling interview with KCRW from 2011.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
10 years ago. Yeah. So we're talking about a 30-year career in 30-year career in theater.
Almost 40, actually. Yeah.
We were just so thrilled and so honored that he had said he would be happy to come onto our program.
Well,
so
it's funny, just to interrupt you for a second. I was reading some about him, and one of the things that was said about him at his writing in the LA theater scene was that theater was starting to be described in terms of being Stepling-esque.
Right?
Stepling-esque.
Stepling-esque,
where he basically set the standard for type of theater, right?
Can you imagine being a verb?
Right, exactly. Or an adjective or whatever.
Or something like that.
An adjective, yeah.
Yeah, so what we're doing, so when we're done with this, this solstice event that we're streaming right now, we're going to then direct our energy into, reading his latest articles, taking a look at, some of the previous interviews that he's given so that we don't, look like silly people who don't know what we're doing.
Look like somebody who fights robots.
We've never looked that way. I have, I've got a teeny weeny little theater background. I took theater classes and film classes in Chicago, and so I'm thrilled that we're getting him on Tuesday, right? Mm-hmm. Is that we're going to do that on Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Now on Friday, we're having a couple of friends of ours come on and tell their story for our episode of Pullquote.
Right. It's unusual. We usually do 1 episode per week, but this time we wanted to fit this in before the July 4th holiday. I know it's just a few weeks away, actually, but it seems like it's far off.
It's coming up.
So these are 2 women, both involved with the restaurant industry, and both have been in restaurants that did not close because of COVID, and saw the punishment that came at them from
the
fallout. Yeah, from liberal city governments, right? And one was a manager, and the other is an owner, right?
Right.
And so we're going to feature them on Friday. We'll have John Stepling on Tuesday, right. And then after that,
we're going to bring back Lynn Taylor. She's with Common Core Diva. This will be our third conversation with her towards the end of the month. And then after that, we're going to have our good friend Guy Crittenden on. Mm-hmm. He has a very strong history in media, and you'll get to see everything that he's about. We're very thrilled and honored that he has agreed to come on. We are also getting Eva Bartlett. We're also getting Helen of Destroy, also known as Helen Beniski. She writes for RT. Mm-hmm. We're getting a good friend of mine. His name is Jeff Kay, but somebody that I knew in San Francisco. He's a phenomenal psychologist, and
he's an expert
in torture and
him torturing. He is an expert in the psychology of torture victims, especially those who were in Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah. So he's got a very interesting perspective to bring to the table, and we're really honored that he's coming. We're getting Hervoge, who is the host of Geopolitics and Empire.
That's really cool.
We are getting our good friend Sean Gibson, who, if you don't know that name, then you should look it up, especially if you like baseball.
Right.
Yeah. He's a local Pittsburgher. He runs a foundation. Should I give it away?
Sure.
He is the great
grandson
of Josh Gibson, who was
a phenomenal athlete. He was in the Negro Leagues here in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Grays. I think they were called the Pittsburgh Grays. This team was called the Grays, but they were here in the Pittsburgh area. And he was one of these athletes that wasn't just good at one sport. He was just a phenomenal athlete. And he was, I believe, the first inductee into the Baseball Hall of Fame from the Negro Leagues. So really important foundation. We'll let him talk about it, but we've worked with him in the past here in our local community. We also have Hiroki Hamada, an artist. So we're really excited about that one because we wanted to bring another artist on. We haven't had a chance. And he's a painter and a sculptor. He's also an essayist and a commentator. And you'll hear him, actually, we talked about John Stepling. He has a program on, it's an audio program called on SoundCloud. Yeah. And I think also iTunes, and it's called Aesthetic Resistance. Hiroki is on that show a lot as a commentator. And then, do you want to announce this one? Because we just found out, but we don't have it confirmed.
We don't have a confirmed date for him, but we do. He did agree to come on the show. Andrew Kaufman.
Yeah, so we're really excited. We've got a great lineup coming up.
Yeah, so support us.
Yeah, so these shows, and so that's something else too.
We're working hard.
We're working hard. These shows are not cheap to produce. I mean, we work on a shoestring budget. It's just Julie and I. Yeah. As you can tell, I mean, I'm running the board and talking at the same time, so things are a little crazy here on the Bookmark. But
well, they're always a little more casual for our Bookmark episodes.
And pull quote,
let loose a little.
Yeah, pull quotes along the same manner. We have upgraded our studio. We're now in what I like to call the Jack Parr studio. So we're increasing our production values, and but at the same time, those are pretty easy to fix and not too expensive. The expensive part is our time and the work that we put into this. So what we're looking for are 25 new patrons at the $2 to $5 level on patreon.com/bookofhours, or we're looking for $1,000 in donations. That's our goal. And we're down to the last half hour. So we're looking for donations, or we're looking for patrons. Or if you'd like to join Rockfin, and you can join for $9.99 a month, and we get the credit. So go to rockfin.com/bookofhours, and there you can sign up, and you can get our premium content, some of the stuff we've been talking about. So anything that patrons on Patreon see, you can see on Rockfin as premium content if you sign up. You can also give us tips on Rockfin, okay? But if you do sign up with Rockfin, for $9.99 a month, you not only see our premium content, but other creators' content that's premium as well. So that's a really big thing because there's a lot of really, like Julie said, heavy hitters. And if you're into sports, there's some good stuff on there. It's worth your time and energy. But our time and energy has been putting into creating content, programs like Bookmark, programs like pullquote, and all our video essays. And the one, I don't know if you've seen the latest one. I'm not going to show it to you. You can go look at it yourself. It's free to all our everybody on YouTube. And it's what is it called again?
Sidewalks by Kit.
Right, and it's about Amazon Sidewalk and all.
And who's back?
Oh, guess who's back? It's Tori Evening Star. The intrepid reporter that we love to feature in some of our animated programs. So you may remember her from Greta Sales or other animated programs, Resilient Cities. So Tori Evening Star is our intrepid reporter, and she's talking about Amazon Sidewalk and then all those other applications and products that you can buy that spy on you in your own home. It's lovely.
Yeah, yeah. So very quickly,
Mhm.
there are a couple of people that we want to acknowledge.
Mhm.
The and did you want to bring it up,
Uh,
Rosemary?
oh yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, so let me share that. Let's see. Yeah, there she is. Okay, so Rosemary Frey we had on early in our pull quote series.
Mm-hmm.
She's a great writer, very thorough in her work, in her research, and her writing. And we were going to talk about this. I don't know if we need to, but
I would just recommend people go look at this article. You can see a lot of the correlation between. Is this the
yeah. So
okay?
this is a correlation between HIV and
And COVID,
COVID, right?
right?
And it's a really good
Yeah.
what blog? It's no more than just a blog.
No, it's her
post.
article, and it's really
Mhm.
well researched, and it confirms, things that I've been hearing my whole life, things that I've talked about publicly, on live streams on other platforms,
Mhm.
that are really popular, and people respond really well to them. I grew up in San Francisco when I was, a little kid. I remember seeing, I have a gay uncle. I remember seeing, the gay community out there in the Castro district and in San Francisco in general, with signs that said, Fauci, what are you doing? You're killing us. I mean, but I was a little kid at the
Right.
time.
I
So
was a full grown adult and I was living there.
yeah.
And I remember, the whole thing about AZT and the in the San
Hmm.
Francisco Guardian, they were writing about that
Right.
and
So
how awful and nasty it was.
right. So what we're seeing is a sort of a reframing, a recontextualizing of the same story. And it's kind of amazing to me that a person who should be behind bars for the first time he did this is allowed to do it again.
Mhm.
That's basically my takeaway. It's so weird to see his name in these kind of negative contexts. I'm talking about Fauci twice in my life. The
Right.
first time when I was a little kid, and his group and all the funding and the organizations and the foundations were targeting gay men. Well, now the group and the organizations and the foundations and big pharma are targeting all of us.
Mhm.
So it's kind of strange to see his name being brought up again in this same negative context by whistleblowers and by great people like Rosemary Frey who do these amazing articles. So you know it's like I'm just, how is this person able to get away with it? I don't know, but
But
it's very
it
frustrating.
is. But you can see our interview on Full Quote with Rosemary Frey on YouTube.
Can you see it on YouTube or on our blog?
That's a good question.
Some of our
Some of the pull quotes are on our blog only, and some of them are on YouTube. I think Rosemary Frey is on there. But
right. It's also on her own site.
Right.
My goodness,
Yeah.
what are we
Yeah.
doing? It's right on her own site.
Right.
So
you can go there. So it's rosemaryfrey.ca, I believe, is the
CA or CA.
CA. So
right.
CA for Canada.
So,
she's a Canadian writer.
Go to her site.
Okay, well here.
And then go where it says videos.
Videos, yeah.
Right there. And then you'll see
I don't see it.
2021 articles and videos.
Okay.
And then I saw it in there. So,
Yeah.
she interviews. There it is. Interviews, not videos.
Oh,
it's
interviews.
Okay.
Yeah.
And cute. And there we are.
Yeah.
See,
So
right there.
it's right there. So you can go and see that on her site as well as on, I believe, on YouTube.
So another person that I wanted to give a little shout out to was a friend of mine who is, she doesn't have like a channel or anything like that. She's just a friend, and she's very sweet. And she wanted, she's just been loading me up with information regarding like crypto. And the thing that she wrote to me recently, let me just find it. The thing that she wrote to me recently really struck me because, as you know, we come from a position of looking at this through the eyes of, through class war. This is a cudgeling of, your ability to take care of yourself.
Right.
That this, and this has been an ongoing problem with neoliberalism and capitalism and in general in this country.
And let's just state our position on cryptocurrency. We are not anarcho-capitalists, so we're not like, yay, cryptocurrency.
There are no such thing as anarcho-capitalists.
Right. Yeah, but they're right-wing anarchists. How about that? Anyway,
they're just capitalists.
They're capitalists. Yeah, they're not anarchists. Sorry. Oh boy. But we're not like yay, but we're also like Rockfin is a cryptocurrency site. We get paid through a cryptocurrency, right? So we are not going to tell people not to go there. Simply, because for a number of reasons, and Julie's going to talk about that, but also because we would be, kind of the word isn't coming to me, but you know what I mean. We're taking cryptocurrency and then telling people not to take it. So hypocritical. Thank you.
Yeah, hypocritical. What I did is I gave the example of Howard's End. So the story of Howard's End is a really good way to kind of frame what I'm trying to say here. And it's a book that was made into a movie like 30 years ago. So a capitalist tells a clerk who's working at a bank, that he should quit his job at the bank because the bank is going to fail. So the clerk quits his job at the bank and he dies destitute and poor and he basically starves to death. Whereas the bank actually never does fail. But the capitalist was like, oh, but I hold the market on, these things because I've benefited from them. And so I know what's up and I know what's what. And it turns out so the bottom line is that capitalists or people with money or people with means should not be telling people who are struggling to what to do with themselves. I would never tell my neighbors, not to shop where they shop or not to spend their money or not to if they get some crypto and they turn it into $100 to better their life somehow, who am I to judge them?
Right.
So I think that there's two things I want to mention that my good friend Jenna had said to me, which is that usually the kind of people that are looking to kind of do something with crypto are like the bottom 50%. So we're talking like let's say somebody is working at Subway and they know that they need to get a car to get a better job, to earn extra money. So they have an opportunity to take maybe one of their Subway checks, invest it in crypto. It'll turn around. It'll do better. They'll be able to buy the car to go get the better job. So that's those are the kind of people that we're talking about.
The majority of people investing in crypto,
if they want to better their life, and there's nothing wrong with that. Another thing that she brought up, which is really, really prescient, is this thing with the lotteries. And let me try to find it again. She brought it up, and I was like, "Ooh, I really need to bring this up in the conversation that we're having today." So she, lives in a state that's running a lottery, and her state is running some federal lawsuits. And the case is centered around language claiming that her state is misappropriating taxpayer funds, but the money isn't coming from her taxes, which may be enough to dismiss the lawsuit. She's brought this up in groups and, they've doubled down on this incorrect language. So this is regarding the vaccine lotteries. What this is about are, certain governors and certain heads of state that are, conducting lotteries. And I think Ohio was the first one to do this, where they were giving away like $5 million if you got the jab. And then California picked this up.
It was a chance to win $1 million.
$1 million. So 5 people could have won $1 million or something.
Yeah.
So she reminds people that, when you hold a lottery, the state will tax almost half of it. So, if you win $1 million lottery, you basically get a check for $580, and then the state gets to put the rest in its coffers.
Right.
So this is a scam. This is not passing the sniff test. This is a total fucking money-making scam. Excuse my language. So what is the state doing with millions that it's making by taxing the vaccine lotteries? This is really shady to convert millions of emergency funds into state taxes with no known allocation. In any other capacity, the funds would be given out as taxable income. And so it would be a much lower tax bracket.
Right.
So this is a tax scam.
Oh, I see.
This is a total tax scam.
That's messed up.
These lotteries, and nobody's talking about it except for my good friend Jenna. And so I want to bring that up and just kind of put it out there. You guys need to know about that.
Yeah, because when you normally win a lottery, I think normally the lottery, the Pennsylvania lottery or California lottery, I mean, you don't pay half. You don't pay 50%.
Right.
It's like 30%.
Right.
So that's a big difference there. That extra 20% makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does. I think that people should start thinking about that, because not only is it insulting to our intelligence to be, feeding us, trying to get us to go get a free donut or free ice cream to get the jab. Okay, that's an insult to our intelligence. But now we're looking at an out-and-out tax scam with these lotteries. That's what this is.
Right.
With these vaccine lotteries. So they're, these institutions that have been occupied by nefarious forces that are capitalist in nature, they know they cannot stoop low enough to hurt you. And I'm just like, I'm amazed at how many people don't understand that. So yeah, it's a good thing that I have intelligent, friends all around us that are, sharing information with us. Everybody is bringing so much good stuff to the table, and we're trying to, give everybody an opportunity to be heard, whether they are, a famous psychologist or an investigative journalist like Eva Bartlett, or just a good friend who happens to know her shit. Everybody deserves to be heard and have an opportunity to share, what they're really good at, what they know.
Right.
Is there anything else you want to add?
No. I kind of left it open to we can look at comments. I'm looking at some of these, and thank you. We're working hard on the pull quote. Thank you for Live Alive. She looks forward to each one. Thank you. And then some people talking about Fauci and the AIDS era. And I mean, I guess going back to Rosemary's article, I mean, Julie and I kind of intuitively made that leap a while ago, but we didn't have the backup or the evidence in front of us. It's just we put two and two together, and especially after living in San Francisco.
I know, right?
And
having an autoimmune illness and seeing
Julie having an autoimmune illness, right?
And seeing what's going on. And in Pittsburgh, there's a distribution company called or a distributor called Abound Bio, which is coming out of the University of Pittsburgh, here, the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. And the guy who is in charge of this, distributing this, is a new drug. It is on every AIDS foundation practically in the country. And the new drug is called AB8. And this is very familiar to what we learned about AZT. So it's, and AB8 is just one of many drugs that will be distributed, as the one-stop shop to rid you of or keep you from getting COVID or something like that, just in the way that AZT was sold to, gay men who were coming up HIV positive. And again, HIV positive is similar to having a COVID positive test. The test itself, as we all know, we know this. We've talked about this, not we, but many content creators and journalists and whatever have talked about this ad nauseum, that the PCR test is not even meant to
test for
viruses for any kind of virus. So it's
well,
it's just HIV, AIDS, all over again.
Yeah.
Except instead of targeting, you know, a minority population, they're targeting all of us.
Well, there's a great quote from the guy who created the PCR test. You know his name, but I don't.
Carrie Mills.
Right. Where it's basically, I'm going to paraphrase this, but it's in.
He's terrible with names.
I know, it's
like, if please don't take offense. Sometimes he doesn't even remember my name.
No, that's not true.
No, it is true. No, and I'm not taking offense at that. That's just he's kind of like the absent-minded professor over here. No, really. You know, because he's always doing like 14 things at one time.
That's true.
You know,
Rosemary Frey's article had a great quote, and I'm paraphrasing it, but basically Mullis was talking about Fauci and basically saying, you know, that he doesn't know anything,
right. anything
at all
about anything,
exactly. And it was it's pretty humorous to see that, and knowing what we know about him, knowing what we know, that, you know, what he's been involved in, and you know, the other thing that gets covered is that we're now seeing, and Fauci is pushing this, right, are these excuse me, AIDS-related drugs that are like used as a prophylactic, like to prevent you from getting AIDS,
right?
And they're pushing them like they've been pushing the COVID vaccines. And, you know, I've been seeing these ads on the buses and billboards, you know, the last year and a half here in Pittsburgh. And, you know, I realized that they were AIDS ads, and I was like, what the hell? Why are they showing AIDS ads? And I didn't, you know, put it together with what, you know, is in this article, but, you know, it's pretty insidious on how long they've been financializing the health of people, using these scare tactics, like, you know, you might get AIDS, or you have AIDS now, and you know,
or you're an asymptomatic carrier of
right, exactly. So now you're an asymmetric you're an asymptomatic carrier, and it's just horrific what they are doing in scaring the American public and scaring the public worldwide now, you know, into thinking that they are a disease-ridden biohazard. That's just fucked up.
Yeah, it is. And one thing about, like, going back to that film Midsommar, the person that the leaders were taking their guidance from was somebody that was inbred.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Well, yeah.
And to me, that was like a good way of you know, so when Carrie Mullis said that, you know, Fauci doesn't know anything. No, I mean it. Fauci doesn't know anything. Like, he's an idiot. He doesn't know anything. And our leadership is taking direction from somebody that literally doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary. So there was that aspect to it in the film as well.
They deliberately created these people. They looked to these inbred.
Oh, right.
These people who are inbred disasters, biological disasters, as their sort of oracle. And this person would have been what you'd call, you know, in the past, it would be the village idiot, right? And this person was just basically all emotion, or all just, like, you know, one side of the brain.
Right.
And what they
kind of like everyone is now.
Right. What they did was interpreted as, you know, the oracle speaks. And one scene showed this person, like, smearing paint all over a book of runic text. So the runes that we pulled, so this was an alphabet, and it was runic text from ancient times, prophesizing or telling or whatever, giving direction. And the oracle, who was just like, had no concept of cognizant, you know, thought, was smearing paint all over it. And the contemporary villagers read that as, you know, a sign, and they took it, you know, a certain way, and they interpreted it.
So that's what we have.
Yeah, and then further on, but not only
people that should not be
right. But not only that,
running.
Can you say this?
It's just so, like,
not only that, but the character was telling somebody else, like, oh yes, our oracle is basically the result of inbreeding, and we do that on purpose. So they purposely create an entity or a person who has no sense of cognizance. They think that they're more pure in their connection to the universe or something. Okay. All right, that's one thing. But there's a parallel with what capitalism does and what our neoliberal politics do, and they will go out of their way to create something that is detrimental to society and to the world at large.
Yeah.
And they'll say, but this is what we use to make the world a better place, right? So there's that parallel there, and it's really messed up.
It'd be like putting my, like your child in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Your 3-year-old
right.
in charge. Literally.
Yeah.
It'd be like putting your 3-year-old in charge.
That's what it was like, yeah.
And then, basing policy for you on, guidance from a 3-year-old.
Well, I think that's what
this
we're
is
seeing.
What's going on right now.
I think that's what we're seeing with Fauci.
Mm-hmm. That is what we're seeing with Fauci.
And because he has that sort of glib attitude on camera, people like him. It's like, oh, I like him.
Oh, he's goofy.
Yeah,
goofy
I know.
looking.
Well, you made a really great video with him. What was that called?
Quackery.
Quackery. Yeah, that was appropriate. So go to YouTube and look up her quick video called Quackery. We are getting to the top of the hour.
Yeah, we are.
And so I wanted to finish with a last pitch. We want to give everybody the opportunity out there. And now, if we know that a lot of people who are watching this program now are already our supporters and patrons, and we love you, and we're glad that you're watching. Yeah. Your job is, and I know that you also share our work with other people. So you're doing your job, and you're also helping us out, and we love that. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. But what we need from those people who are not stepping up is we need your help. We need you to help us produce the content that is coming up and the content that we've also made. We do this now for a living. This is what we do. We are artists, and we are creative individuals who are putting together programs that are interesting, fun to watch, and hopefully informative. We're looking for 25 new patrons at the $2 to $5 range, and $2 a month is nothing. That's like what, 7 cents a day or something like that.
7 cents.
So the thing is if we had 10, 50, 100 $2 patrons, we'd be doing really well. I mean, better than we are now. We're trying to reach a certain goal, and we're not there yet. So we need those people to step up. It would be great to have a $20 supporter, and 10 of them. But we find that, that's a harder sell. And so what we're offering you is something that's lower in cost, a little easier to get on board. And you can also give us a hand and help us out. We're also looking for any donations. We would love to get up to $1,000 in donations. Last time we did a fundraiser, somebody stepped up and gave us $500. That was kind of awesome.
So, although this person asked to be anonymous, we wanted to thank them for that, because we have expenses and this is how we earn our income. Right. So it helped. Yeah. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, let's see here. We're going to roll things up here. We wanted to close the show with, speaking of supporters and patrons, we have something here from a friend of ours who put out a song, and we're going to close out the show with that. This is Butternut. What is this? Gene. Gene Butternut.
We love Gene.
And now, the beginning of it, you might be a little confused, but he is on our side. So this is a song of heavy sarcasm, and
which is missing in,
I agree,
in social media altogether.
We need a lot more humor and a lot more satire.
Oh my goodness! And everybody needs to just stop being so sensitive.
Oh, and by the way, our latest sidewalk, Amazon sidewalk video with Tori Evening Star is nothing but satire.
Nothing but satire.
And so you should definitely, if you like satire, go see that. So,
yeah. So we love this, and we asked if we could share it, and they said yes.
All right.
So we're going to do it, and hopefully you guys like it. And we're so glad that you joined us today.
Yeah, thank you.
And
I hope you had a good time. I know we did.
Yeah, it's super fun doing these things. Yeah, it's just, there's a lot to go over. I'm glad we did the rune reading. I think that really kept us on point.
Yeah, I do too.
And so enjoy this next performance.
All right, so we will see you on Tuesday, and that's going to be 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Go to the YouTube ad It'll give you all the times, and our Facebook page will also tell you that. So we will see you on Tuesday, and we'll see you in a couple weeks for Bookmark.
Yes.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello, I'm going to play a song today because we all know that one of the biggest problems facing humankind is it's called vaccine hesitancy. So yes, people are hesitating to get vaccinated for some reason, and those people are generally, I think, mostly bad people that are doing that. So anyway, I wrote a song. It's called I Shall Not Hesitate. Pfizer and Moderna, won't you give me what I need? An experimental vaccine with no liability. I believe the science that vaccines are always safe, especially new technology like mRNA. Even though the long-term health effects we do not know, I shall not hesitate. Safety trials are currently phase 3 to be completed in 2023. Pfizer and Moderna, let us be your guinea pigs. We shall not hesitate. Dr. Tony Fauci, won't you tell me what to do? You're the king of science, I shall never question you. When you tell us lies, I know it's only 'cause you should. True believers like me know it's for our own good. However many masks you say today, I will comply. I shall not hesitate. You and Bill Gates are making quite a team. Powerful, wealthy, benevolent deities. Dr. Tony Fauci, let us kneel before your throne. We shall not hesitate. CNN and NPR, please tell me how to think. Program me with narratives constructed by elites. Twitter, Google, Facebooks, won't you help them with their task? Protect us from the questions that we're not allowed to ask. Dictate my reality and acceptable beliefs. I accept uncritically. Give voice to experts whom we're allowed to hear. Keep repeating numbers, how many died this year? CNN and NPR, please fill our hearts with fear. We accept uncritically. Pfizer and Moderna, won't you crank out a vaccine? Transmission or infection, it need not prevent in me. Thousands of reported deaths, severe adverse events. True believers like me know it's just coincidence. I hate anti-vaxxers who think there might be risks. Let's mandate they get the jab directly in their dicks. There's no greater problem than vaccine hesitancy. Any facts that cause it, we must let no one see. Big Pharma, Fauci, MSM. Take my body, take my mind. I shall not hesitate. No, I shall not hesitate. I shall not hesitate. I shall not hesitate.
Book of Hours are artists here to empower and embolden your response to the constant negative sound bites that attack your news and social media feeds. In order to continue making the video essays and art you've come to enjoy, we need your support. Make a one-time donation or become a patron. Thank you.